Recently, I've been getting a lot of questions about these guys. Who are they? What do they represent? That is what I'm going to talk about today. Hi everyone, if this is the first time we're meeting, my name is Jimmy Barkan. Been teaching Hatha Yoga since 1981. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Hit the notification bell. Hit the like button if you're enjoying this video. Yoga comes from the country of India, which is predominantly Hindu. So really, you have to think of yoga coming out of Hinduism. And in Hinduism, it's a monotheistic religion, one God, but they have thousands of gods and goddesses represented many times by these particular statues. Now, it's a little different than what they would refer to in the Bible as idol worship. Idol worship, they're really referring to the Egyptians, back in the Egyptian religions, where they would see one particular idol as God. Like I said before, Hinduism is monotheistic, one God. They have thousands of gods and goddesses that represent the one God. So most of the statues that I have are my favorite ones. Let's go over them now. So the first statue I want to talk about is Tara. Now, Tara comes more from the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. She's also known as the Mother of Liberation. She's also known as the female Buddha. And in yogic terms, we consider her to be the Divine Mother. So again, this more comes from the Buddhist tradition, but it was given to me a long time ago, I forget by who. And I think she's a really wonderful addition to my altar. So I keep her there with me all the time. Next up is Saraswati, also known as the wife or the consort of Brahma. She's known as the goddess of the fine arts. Hence, she's playing the instrument, the veena. It's not the sitar. The sitar came much later. Saraswati, the wife of Brahma. There's also a river, an extinct river in India called the Saraswati River. And history fascinates me. You can track yoga back another 1,000 years. For years and years and years, people would always think of yoga as being a 5,000-year-old tradition. In the Vedas, there's one passage, and this is really where yoga began. The first mention of yoga is in the Vedas, in the Rig Veda specifically. In the Vedas, they talk about the mighty Saraswati River flowing. But geologists can look back at 5,000 years ago and they can see that the Saraswati River was extinct 5,000 years ago. It was flowing 6,000 years ago. Therefore, they could trace back yoga another 1,000 years. Isn't that a cool factoid? So Saraswati, I've got a couple of her on my altar, playing the veena, the wife of Brahma. Next up are my Bengal tiger teeth, given to me by a Barkan method senior teacher, Peter Palladino, who does a lot of our anatomy. Thank you, Peter, for this. The teeth represent the strength of the tiger, the fearlessness. So our yoga comes from the state of Bengal, where the Bengal tiger lives. Obviously, they named the whole state after the Bengal tiger. So a lot of times you'll see pictures of like Vishnu Ghost sitting on the Bengal tiger skin, which is more of a Bengal tiger yogi thing. So if you read the book Autobiography of a Yogi, Yogananda has a whole chapter on the tiger swami, that's the yogi that wrestled the tiger, not to show his strength, but to show that he wasn't afraid. So it's really one of the fascinating parts of the book, the tiger swami. So the Bengal tiger teeth is really associated with our particular yoga, which again comes from Bengal. And I love the teeth, and I keep them right here in the front on my altar. Next up is a small one. This is Hanuman. His actual name is Hanumat. And if you've ever done the advanced class and you've seen the picture of Hanumanasana, the full split. So in the story of the Ramayana, Rama's wife Sita is captured by the forest demon Ravana. So what Rama does is he gets the help of Hanumat, the monkey leader, and all the monkeys, and they go from South India to Lanka. Now we know it is Sri Lanka. Back then it was just Lanka. This is part of the story, the Ramayana. So what Hanuman does, he takes this big long leap from South India to Lanka to rescue Sita. And that's why they named the full split after Hanuman taking that long leap. And when he takes the leap, he creates what is now known as the Setu Bridge. So when we do the posture, Setu Bandha, which is bound bridge pose, is named after the bridge that Hanuman created. And I put him right here on my altar. There we go. Next up is a rare statue. This is a statue of Babaji. Babaji is really the forefather, the founding father of our particular yoga. What he brought out, what's known as Kriya Yoga from the Dark Ages, around the late 1700s. In 1861, he initiates Lahiri Mahashaya into the spiritual path of Kriya Yoga. And this is the spinal pranayama breathing technique that he passed on to Lahiri Mahashaya, who went to Swami Sri Yukteswar, who passed it on to Paramahansa Yogananda, and that's where our yoga comes from. Babaji, he's also known as the reincarnation of Shiva and an incarnation of Goraksha, the founder of Hatha Yoga. So this is a really special statue for me, Babaji statue. I put him right here in the front. So next up is one of my favorites. This is Lakshmi. She's also the wife or the consort of Vishnu. She's the goddess of money and wealth and beauty. And many times she's pictured with wine cups. Now here's a cool factoid about Lakshmi and what I've been doing for a long, long time in my studio, because the yoga studio is a cash business. We've taken a lot of cash. So whenever we take an unusual currency, like a $2 bill, for example, if you're not from America, that's an unusual currency. You won't see too many $2 bills. Or a dollar in a coin, you don't see too many of those either. So whenever I'd get a coin dollar, or a $2 bill, I would put it in front of a Lakshmi, or all my Lakshmi statues, as an offering. I used to have Lakshmi at my studio in my office years ago when I was back next to Cafe Vico. People in my studio know what I'm talking about. So I had my office and the altar was there, and I'd have all these coins lined up just like I do right here in front of the Lakshmi statue. And 2 times I would come to the studio in the morning and somebody had come in through the door, I guess during the evening classes, who knows what happened, who could it have been, and they took the coins. So first I was really upset because it was a violation, somebody robbed me. But then I said to myself, okay, let's redefine what that is. Instead of me thinking that somebody came to steal those coins, I said that Lakshmi had taken the offering from me. So that's how I was able to not feel so bummed out about losing all those coins, because for me it was really symbolic. But I got smart and I took the coins back to my house and didn't have them at the school anymore. The Muslim religion has a wonderful saying, trust in God, but tie up your camels. So don't leave those coins out where people can come and grab them. But that was my offering to Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth and good fortune. Another interesting story about Lakshmi. When I went to Yogananda's ashram in Encinitas, and that's where he wrote the book, Autobiography of a Yogi, they would give out tours to the house, and the house is where he actually wrote the book. And I had just missed the tour by about a half an hour. But I had been a disciple of Yogananda and been practicing Kriya Yoga for years at the time, so I pleaded with them, can I please go and see the house? So one of the nuns had volunteered to give me a private tour, and her name was Lakshmi. Because a lot of times what happens is people will come to an ashram and the guru will give them a Sanskrit name, like Saraswati or Poverty, and in this case, her name was Lakshmi. So I said, oh, Lakshmi, I pray to you every day for good fortune and wealth. And she got really upset with me. She must have been like 90 years old. She goes, don't pray to me. You should pray to God or pray to Master. When she's talking about Master, she's talking about Yogananda. I said, all right, sorry. But she gave me this wonderful little tour. Thank you, Lakshmi, for the tour. And that's where Yogananda wrote Autobiography of a Yogi from. So let's put her right back where she deserves to be. Now, here's a statue you may not see. In fact, it's very unusual. This is a combination. This is actually given to me by a teacher training program once. This is a combination of Shiva and Lakshmi together. Now, people think that's sort of weird and interesting because Shiva's consort was Poverty, or Uma. Lakshmi's consort was Vishnu. However, Shiva was actually in love with Lakshmi originally, but she rejected him for Vishnu. So this is a combination of Shiva and Lakshmi. Very unusual. And these are the Rudraksha beads that you use in meditation. There's 108 Rudraksha beads, just like there's 108 rosary beads, interesting enough. So I put her in the back, or her and him in the back. And the most popular of all the god and goddesses in India is Ganesh. The story story of Ganesh with the elephant head god. He was actually the son of Shiva and Uma. He was made by the ash of Yuma. She would take baths all the time. So she made her son from the residue of her body. In this video, I talk all about Ganesh and who he was. He's known as the remover of all obstacles. So every single hotel and restaurant and establishment in India and Indonesia, they have these huge statues of Ganesh, the elephant head god. If you're interested in the story, check out that video. This green one I talk about in the video, I took back from India. It's about 45 pounds. So I took it on 3 flights back from India, but it was worth it. But my favorite Ganesh statue is this one. I bought it at Kripalu. How cool is that picture? How cool is that statue? I had that at my studio for years. So why do I have all these statues and why are they so meaningful for me? Because our yoga, Hatha Yoga, comes from Tantric Yoga. It's a different path than Patanjali. It's once again a whole other video we'll get into when we talk about the history. Tantric Yoga is very symbolic and ritualistic. So I talk about this in my meditation classes. You set up an altar for yourself, light an incense, light some candles, you have the statues, you have your sacred space, and you sit down into that sacred space. When you take the time to be ritualistic, ceremonial, your meditation will be a lot more successful. So these are all my statues, very meaningful and very personal to me. I've collected them over time and they just enrich my whole concept of the subject of yoga. It definitely enhances my feeling and the vibration that it brings to me. So there it is. So that's our episode for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hit the notification bell, hit the like button if you enjoy this video. It really helps to boost the video into the algorithm, sends it out to a lot more people. So thank you so much for doing that, and I appreciate it. And I'll see you at the next video. Bye, everyone.